Greetings to everyone out there in the NoDQ galaxy. Welcome to NoDQ Video, episode number 1050 here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel. Thank you all for watching, whether you've been watching or whether this is your first time. If this is your first time, my name is Aaron Rift. I'm the owner of NoDQ.com. This is my Q&A series. The questions come from twitter.com/AaronRift. using the hashtag NoDQTurns20 since this is the 20-year anniversary of NoDQ.com. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get down to your questions. First one today comes from longtime question submitter Jishnu. Hey Aaron, is Daniel Bryan going to lose his comeback match? And how is Shane possibly ready for WrestleMania with acute diverticulitis and hernia surgery? Both of those are great questions. I would be really surprised if Daniel Bryan lost his comeback match. To me, it really would not make sense. Although with the stipulation, Owens and Zayn need to win in order to stay on SmackDown Live and not be fired. But of course, you could always do an angle where Owens and Zayn are traded to Monday Night Raw. That could very well happen. Regarding Shane, I believe he will be okay to go at WrestleMania. Otherwise, WWE would not have announced the match this week. Now, there's always a possibility Shane could pull out, and you never know if Shane will be able to make it or not. It's possible. WWE has exaggerated his condition for storyline purposes to actually make him come off as tougher. You know, Brock Lesnar had diverticulitis when he was fighting in the UFC. He came back, but it took him a while to make his comeback. Shane McMahon's a McMahon, and he can overcome just about anything. So it very well could be WWE exaggerating a real illness that Shane McMahon has. And from what I've heard, it is a legitimate illness that he's been dealing with, but the fact that WWE has officially announced Shane in the match makes me think he is going to be there, and if he needs some kind of procedure at some point, that he will get that taken care of down the line, or maybe he already had something taken care of and he'll be back in time for WrestleMania. I'm not really sure what the deal is, but I suspect he'll be there. Nothing's a guarantee at this point, though. With WWE, you really don't know, because they could be working you or they might be legit, and sometimes they blur the lines and it's really hard to get a read on what exactly is going on. Got this one here from Mr. Yuck. Who, if not Shane, could be Daniel Bryan's WrestleMania 34 partner? Rey Mysterio is my top pick. In the event that Shane does not make it to WrestleMania and WWE needs to replace him, Rey Mysterio would be an option, but Rey Mysterio, it appears, is going to be working for New Japan Pro Wrestling, doing a series of matches with them, including perhaps a match at the San Francisco Cow Palace in July for this big event that New Japan is doing. Mysterio, I think, could go either way. If he was really needed, I'm sure WWE could make a deal with him, maybe even a one-night appearance. Chris Jericho is another name that has been thrown around, but I think because of Jericho's Fozzy concert the day of WrestleMania, it's unlikely. I'm sure WWE would go with whatever plan B they had, because Daniel Bryan getting cleared was something that was not a guarantee, and WWE reportedly had a backup plan, a plan B, even a plan C if something happened and Daniel Bryan was not getting cleared for WrestleMania. I'm thinking whoever would have been in Daniel Bryan's spot would take Shane's spot at WrestleMania. It could be somebody like Dolph Ziggler. There's a number of guys that are going to be in the Andre Battle Royal that WWE could pull out of that match and put them in there as Bryan's partner. Or WWE could just do a triple threat. That's also a possibility as well. This one comes from Tyler Joseph Smith, aka TJS. Why is it that WWE acknowledges Cody Rhodes and Goldust as brothers and sons of Dusty Rhodes, Roman Reigns and the Usos are cousins, Dean Ambrose and Renee Young are husband and wife, but why Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas as brothers, or why not Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas as brothers and sons of IRS? I think because kayfabe is a little bit more important with Bray Wyatt's character. He's supposed to be this supernatural character, and saying he's the son of IRS doesn't really make him very mysterious, you know? I think it ruins the character if you go on television and say, oh, Bray Wyatt is the son of Erwin R. Shyster, and he's the brother of Bo Dallas. I think that's the main reason why WWE hasn't paired them together as a team. I wish WWE would have put Bo Dallas with Bray Wyatt and do something with Bo's character, change up his character, turn Bo Dallas into a Bray Wyatt-like character, and therefore you could say they are brothers and do something like that. I think at some point the door could be open if Bray Wyatt's character gets repackaged. We could perhaps see Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt form a duo in WWE. Maybe it would be a good thing for Bo's career. It could give him a renewed push and give him a second shot at becoming a big star in WWE. I could see that as a possibility. But at this time, who knows what's going on with Bray Wyatt's character. This one comes from It's the Costanza. Do you think a repackaged Bray Wyatt being a part of Woken Matt's group is a good idea? Woken Wyatt. I think it's a good idea, and I think it is a possibility that we have not seen the end of this Bray Wyatt, Matt Hardy storyline. We could see Matt Hardy try to recruit Bray Wyatt and get him to change and join the Woken universe. I could see that as a possibility, just like in TNA, Matt and Jeff Hardy were feuding, and then Jeff became broken along with Matt. He became Brother Nero and did the whole broken gimmick with Matt. So we could see that out of Bray Wyatt, potentially. There's a number of different ways it could go with Bray Wyatt. We could see him, like I mentioned earlier, be paired up with Bo Dallas at some point. Maybe he will join the Hardy clan. Maybe something else will happen with him. But I could definitely see something continuing with Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy in the weeks and months to come. Got this one here from Aaron Rift for President, another guy who knows how to get his questions answered. Hey Aaron, considering Bray Wyatt has been deleted, what do you think of him being Braun Strowman's partner at WrestleMania, being repackaged and turning babyface in the process? Well, as far as turning babyface goes, I think it's too little too late. It should have been done 2 years ago, and it was done 2 years ago, but then Bray got injured and he came back and was a heel again, and I felt like he really cooled off at that point and lost a lot of his momentum. But I would not rule it out as a possibility. I still think it's more likely we are going to see more of Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. I think it's unlikely that Bray turns out to be Strowman's partner, but I would not rule it out. And for those of you that remember episode 1000 of NoDQ video, I did my proposed WrestleMania 34 card, and I did mention Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt as a tag team, only they were against the Hardys in my match, and obviously the Bar is going to be facing Braun Strowman and a mystery partner at WrestleMania. I would not rule it out, but I do think it's unlikely. Got this one here from Dave. With Bryan coming back, could you see them make him a free agent a la Cena? There are so many guys on both brands who would make for dream matches. I don't think WWE will do that because I think there's a lot of caution from WWE when it comes to Daniel Bryan. I don't think that WWE wants to be putting Bryan in tons of matches right off the bat. He's reportedly going to be medically evaluated after every single match. And I think that WWE will continue that until they feel confident that Bryan can go at the rate Bryan wants to go at. And maybe down the line, we could see something like that where Bryan could be on both shows. But I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. And I think it's better to take your time. Don't rush things. You know, you don't have to have Daniel Bryan wrestling constantly against every big match possibility right off the bat. You know, you got to give these feuds and matches time to breathe and spread it out over time. Plus, now that WWE is doing every pay-per-view with both brands, you really don't need Bryan appearing on both shows every week, since he's most likely going to be at every pay-per-view as it is moving forward. I would expect that to happen at least. So yeah, I don't think it's necessary for Bryan to be a free agent character and be on both brands. I really don't think it's necessary right now. This one comes from Daniel Jobber. Here's a good one for you, Aaron. Assuming he holds the title until then, who do you think is a more likely SummerSlam opponent for Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman or Daniel Bryan? I don't think Roman Reigns is a good opponent for Daniel Bryan for the obvious reason, and that's the fans are going to boo Reigns out of the building. He has no chance of getting a good reaction against Daniel Bryan. So I think that's out. I don't think that's a good idea, and I even don't think they should be on the same show. Another reason why I don't think Bryan should do the free agent gimmick, because him being on the same show as Reigns, I think, is going to lead to even more boos for Reigns as it is. I think they're best keeping Bryan and Reigns on separate shows. So I would have to go with Strowman. I think Reigns versus Strowman, once Reigns in all likelihood wins the Universal title, I think it's inevitable that we'll see an eventual Strowman versus Reigns match. The question is, who's going to be the face? Who's going to be the heel? Will WWE ever turn Reigns? Will they turn Strowman back heel? I mean, what do you do with that? But I think of the two options, Reigns versus Lesnar, or excuse me, Reigns versus Strowman would make more sense. And maybe Lesnar will get back in the mix. Maybe he'll sign a new deal, and you could do a triple threat at some point. Reigns, Lesnar, and Strowman. I could see that as a possibility as well. Got this one here from Jamie Clark. Why is the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Shane McMahon angle taking precedence over Styles versus Nakamura? Good question. I think because WWE feels Shane and Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn is a more anticipated match than AJ Styles versus Nakamura and is a bigger deal. I think a lot of fans would debate those two matches as the two most anticipated matches. I mean, there's a lot of matches this year for WrestleMania that are going to be very highly anticipated despite the less than stellar build, in my opinion. On paper, the card is really strong. Daniel Bryan coming back is huge, and I think that that has really put the storyline over the top and made it a priority. I think if Daniel Bryan was not wrestling, AJ Styles and Nakamura would be talked about more. But yeah, ever since Daniel Bryan's return to the ring was announced, it feels like AJ and Nakamura have taken a back seat. And the build for AJ versus Nakamura hasn't exactly lit the world on fire as far as I'm concerned. It almost feels like two mid-carders fighting for the WWE title. But I'm sure once they go out there and if they're given the time, they will have a WrestleMania Classic. I'm hoping that, at least. I think we're all crossing our fingers. But yeah, it feels like right now the Daniel Bryan news has really been the talk of SmackDown and has overshadowed the AJ Nakamura feud. This one comes from SCW Wrestling Channel. Hey Aaron, with the way the match has been built the last couple of weeks, should Reigns versus Lesnar become a no-holds-barred match at WrestleMania 34? That match needs all it can get, in my opinion. So yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think you need to up the ante from WrestleMania 31 and not do the same match twice. I think it would be a great idea to change things up and make it more intense than the first match. So yeah, no holds barred, falls count anywhere, whatever. Make this the fight of fights. They just throw each other around, brawl in the crowd, use weapons. I think this match needs it because it is for the Universal title, and Reigns needs a really strong showing here, and I think he needs every gimmick he can get to have this match succeed. And with Daniel Bryan, again, Daniel Bryan being on this card, there's going to be a lot of heat, a lot of noise for Bryan's match. That could wear out the fans, and that could potentially hurt the crowd heat for Reigns versus Lesnar. So I think they need it. I think it's a really solid idea. I definitely feel WWE should do it. This one comes from Aaron Lewis. Hey Aaron, I know your WrestleMania predictions are due soon, but I wanted to ask you a hypothetical question. Who do you think could really benefit from becoming future IC champion down the line? Finn Thunder or Seth Nitro? Thanks. I think Balor would benefit more because I don't see Balor being in the Universal title picture, even though he still is owed that one-on-one match, the rematch for the Universal title that he never lost, but I sense he's not going to get it. Rollins, I think, is better being drafted to SmackDown when WWE does the Superstar Shakeup. Quite frankly, I think both guys could potentially benefit from jumping to SmackDown, especially if Owens and Zayn end up on Raw, which I could definitely see happening with this current storyline against Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon. So I'm not sure if either of them would benefit as much from being the IC champion as they would benefit from moving to SmackDown Live. You can do Seth Rollins versus Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles, Seth Rollins versus Nakamura, and same thing with Balor. He can feud with all three of those guys. There's a lot more options for Rollins and Balor on SmackDown Live, giving them some fresh opponents. I just think they're both better off on SmackDown. But if I had to choose one, I'd say Balor most likely would be better off as IC champion. But what do you guys think? Leave a comment. Let me know. Got this one here from Infinity War Hype at the Anime Fans. Is it just me? Do we need a John Cena match at WrestleMania? Couldn't WWE add a 2 young upcoming wrestlers who deserve it and be like the others in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal? Well, in a real life perspective, John Cena being in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal makes no sense. It's a waste of John Cena to put him in the Andre Battle Royal. Although you could argue with the Andre the Giant HBO documentary that's set to release shortly after WrestleMania, it would make sense to give this match as much hype and make it as big of a deal as possible, and Cena being in the match could give it some credibility. So you could argue that it's not necessarily a waste if you're trying to promote the Andre documentary. From a storyline perspective, it really doesn't make sense that John Cena is ignoring the match. It's basically burying the match. John Cena saying, I have no road to WrestleMania, I'm going to be a fan at WrestleMania, when he could just enter the Battle Royal and humble himself and put it over. Say, you know what? I'm going to enter the Battle Royal, honor the legacy of Andre the Giant, and win the whole thing in Andre's honor. He could do that, but he doesn't. So it basically buries the Andre Battle Royal. I hate to say it in the storyline. The Battle Royal, I guess for John Cena, it's not good enough for him. He's above it. So yeah, I'm not really a fan of it in the storyline, the fact that Cena doesn't even acknowledge the Battle Royal as an option for him at WrestleMania. But whatever. You know, we got to overlook it. We got to check our brains at the door. It is WWE after all. This one comes from Walk with Rift. Who would you have let me try this again. Who would you have had Undertaker face at WrestleMania during the streak? Personally, I would have had him face The Rock or Stone Cold. Absolutely. I mean, those two matches would have been huge. I would have been a fan of Undertaker facing some different people instead of facing Shawn Michaels more than once, facing Triple H more than once. All these repeat matches that Undertaker had. I would have liked to have seen him against different people. Now, unfortunately, by the time Undertaker's streak really became a thing in WWE, Austin and The Rock were more or less done with WWE as far as being full-time performers. Besides Rock and Steve Austin, John Cena is the guy. And WWE is doing it now, but like I've said before, I think it would have been ideal to do John Cena versus Undertaker when the streak was still intact. And you could have done a submission match with the streak on the line between John Cena and Undertaker. Imagine that. Undertaker with the streak 20-0 or whatever, and he's up against John Cena in a submission match, a guy who never gives up. That would have been money. That would have been huge if WWE had done that years ago. They're doing it now, and I'm sure it'll be a big deal. It'll be a memorable WrestleMania match, but for me, it's just not the same. And I think most of you would agree on that it is too late, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with Undertaker finally confronting Cena and if the match can exceed expectations. I think because of the fact that Undertaker didn't exactly have a stellar performance last year, that maybe Undertaker will be able to come back and have a really great WrestleMania performance against John Cena. Time will tell. Got this one here from Rob Klein. Do you think The Miz could be the second coming of Bobby Heenan if he transitions to broadcast later in his career like Jerry Lawler did? Interesting question. I think it's difficult to say right now with The Miz. The Miz has a lot of credibility, and with all due respect to Bobby Heenan, he was never really a major superstar as far as being a wrestler goes. His real fame came when he became a manager and then later doing commentary. He did transition. But Heenan wasn't like a world champion or anything like The Miz has been in recent years. The Miz has been consistently a top-level star in WWE on a national level for many years. So it is different from how Bobby Heenan's career went. Could The Miz transition and be a great commentator? Maybe. I mean, I like to think of The Miz more like Jesse Ventura, and I think Jesse Ventura could have been a really big star if he had not gotten sick, and that's what led to Ventura transitioning into a commentary role. The Miz is such a big star, though. I think he's got a lot of years left, and again, because of that, the fact that he's going to be around for a while, most likely, it's really hard to say, but down the line, you could definitely imagine Miz doing commentary and doing a really good job at it if that's something that he wants to do. This one comes from Stuart Wareham. The Usos deserve a spot on the main card after how good they've been this year, but looking at how the rest of the card is shaping up, I can't see how any other matches will be on the pre-show. So do the Usos get put on the pre-show yet again? Oh man, this one is really interesting because the Usos have made a big deal on television about not being on the main card for all these years in WWE. So what's going to happen? Because it does feel like the tag match is one of the weaker matches on the card, and even this match is a pretty strong match. But you know, you got to have some matches on the kickoff. Inevitably, you got to have at least 3 matches, if not more, on the kickoff. I'm thinking one of the Battle Royals will be on the kickoff. The Cruiserweight match will probably be on the kickoff, but what's the third one? Is it going to be this match? Is it going to be the U.S. title match? Is it going to be the IC title match? Really interested to see how this plays out at WrestleMania, which matches end up on the kickoff and which matches end up on the main card. But Usos not being on the main card would be really surprising. I would be shocked because such a big deal has been made out of them not having the opportunity to be on the main card, and they're hotter than ever. So how do you put those guys on the pre-show after all this hype and all this fuss made about it? Got this one here from Alfredo. Hey Aaron, I've heard you talk about dream matches, but one that you did not talk about, and I think it was one of the easiest to create and wanted, was Triple H versus Randy Orton versus Batista. Your opinion? I think that would have been a great match to do an Evolution triple threat, and we never did get it. I think it just came down to timing. Batista went off on his own. He moved to SmackDown. Orton eventually moved to SmackDown as well. Triple H was on Raw. Triple H didn't want to work Tuesdays, as Paul Heyman might put it. So it never happened. The timing just wasn't there for it to happen. And Batista got injured. Triple H got injured. Things happened. Maybe if the circumstances were different and guys didn't get hurt, that maybe WWE would have somehow gotten all three of those guys together at one time and they had been able to do a triple threat match. So yeah, it would have been cool to see an Evolution triple threat, or even throw Flair in there and do a full-fledged Evolution match for the world title. Fatal four-way, every man for himself. I think that would have been really cool, but again, the timing just didn't work out with guys on different brands and injuries. It just didn't happen, but I would have liked to have seen it, definitely. That'll do it for episode number 1050 of NoDQ Video. If you enjoyed today's video, please do me a favor, like this video, subscribe, click on the notifications icon, which is a little bell symbol, so you can get the updates as they become available. Tell a friend, share this video on Facebook, Twitter, just call up a friend, text them, send them a smoke signal. Anything you can do to help promote the channel would be greatly appreciated. And that's all I got for you guys today. AaronRift.com. Check out twitter.com/AaronRift to send in a question. Use the hashtag NoDQTurns20, and I will see you guys next time.